And this is Pointless, the quiz show where the lowest scorers are the biggest winners. To stay in the game, our contestants need to score as few points as possible. How do they score as few points as possible? Well, they need to come up with the most obscure answers they can muster. We've asked all our questions on Pointless to 100 people before the show. Could you plumb the depths of your knowledge to find those elusive answers that no one else could think of? So, for example, we gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many Formula One world champions as they could, and we found out that 69 of them said Lewis Hamilton, an obvious answer that would score you a horribly high 69 points. However, only 29 of them said Jackie Stewart, a less obvious world champion that would score you a respectably low 29 points. But occasionally there are even some answers that none of our 100 people could name. So, for example, none of them said Jodie Scheckter. So that would have been a truly pointless Formula One champion. And that would score you absolutely nothing. And that's exactly what you want. And if you find any of those, we will add £250 to today's jackpot. Before we go any further, let's meet today's players. Welcome, Terry and Laura. You are our first pair on the show. How do you two know each other?
We're brother and sister. Terry's been working for me for about a year now, and we're still talking.
He's working for you?
Yes.
So what do you do?
I run a bar in the West End.
Is he quite senior, or is he a sort of potwash?
Middle ground. He's worked his way up.
Very good. And he's still speaking to you?
Yeah, just about.
Well, I wish you the very best of luck this afternoon. I hope you do well. On to our next pair, Paul and Susan. Welcome to the show. How do you two know each other?
6 years ago, I took up a career as a teacher. As a trainee, I walked into the classroom of an experienced teacher, which stopped dead when I walked in. It wasn't until about 3 hours later, when Susan asked me out for a date, that I realised why.
Oh, why?
Because every kid in the room, when I left, said, "You fancy him, miss, don't you?" And now we're saving up to get married.
Oh, very good. Very good. You come out quite well of that story. I thought it was going to be something much worse. Yeah. Anyway, very best of luck to you. On to our third pair, David and Matt. How do you two know each other?
I've been in the army for 19 years. Matt used to be my boss. We became very good friends, and he's still telling me what to do.
Well, I wish you the very best of luck this afternoon. I hope you do well. And we welcome back our fourth pair today, Pauline and Anne. We give everyone 2 chances to reach the Pointless final, and today is your final chance. Remind us who you are.
We've been friends for 18 years. We work in the same place, and we like to go on holidays together every year.
Very good. And how did you do yesterday?
We got put out in the second round.
Dear, oh dear. Well, I hope you don't get put out that early this afternoon. And finally, we've got Mick and Martin. Welcome to the show. How do you two know each other?
We're brothers, actually. We're twin brothers.
I can see you are, aren't you?
Met
Of
in the
course you
womb.
are.
We go on holiday a lot together as well, so as brothers go, we're quite close.
Splendid. Well, very best of luck to you this afternoon. Welcome to the show. Of course, there is one final person I must introduce to you all. He is the man with all the pointless facts and figures. He is my pointless friend. It's Richard. Richard, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm extremely well.
As you say, I've got all of the questions on today's show right here. I've got all the answers in front of me as well. At the end of each round, I'll be taking you through all the pointless answers. And, of course, pointless answers are those answers that none of our 100 people gave. I'll also take you through the obvious answers, the things that everybody said. You don't know any of the answers or any of the questions on today's show. It's all a surprise to you. So, very best of luck to everyone here.
Thanks very much. Last time, finalists Barry and Lisa managed to win the jackpot of £1,500, so it starts off today at £1,000. And remember, if you find some pointless answers along the way, each one of those will add £250 to that amount. Let's play Pointless. In the first round, each of you must give me one answer, and you cannot confer with your partner. You'll score 1 point for every one of the 100 people that gave that same answer. And remember, this is Pointless. You are trying to find the least well-known answers and score the fewest points. If anyone gives me an incorrect answer, they will score the maximum of 100 points, so do be careful. If you give an incorrect answer, this will happen. Yeah, you really don't want to see that. So at the end of the round, your combined score will be totalled up and the highest scoring pair will be eliminated. Obviously, only 2 pairs make it through to our head-to-head semi-final. Our first category is the Americas. the Americas. So can you all decide in your pairs who's going to go first, who's going to go second? And whoever's going first, please step up to the podium. OK, let's find out what our first question is going to be. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many states of the United States of America as they could. Richard, can you elaborate more?
Yeah, we're looking for any of the 50 states that make up the United States of America. I've got them all here, but try and find an obscure one.
Thank you, Richard. Right, Terry and Laura, before the show you all drew lots, and today it turns out you will be starting us off. So, Laura, we are looking for states of the United States of America. A really nice and obscure one.
I'm going to go for Idaho.
Idaho, very good. Remember, you are looking to score as few points as possible. You want this to be really obscure. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Idaho. It's a correct answer. Not bad. Oh, it's good. That means 12 of our 100 people said Idaho. That gives Laura and Terry a nice early score of 12. Nice and low. OK, on to our next pair, Susan.
I don't know if I can say it right. Wisconsin?
Wisconsin. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Wisconsin. It's the right answer. Another good one. Very good. That means only 4 of our 100 people said Wisconsin. A good low score. OK, on to our next pair. Matt, we are looking for states in the United States of America.
I'm going to go for the end of the alphabet, so I'm going to try for Wyoming.
Wyoming. OK, let's see how many of our 100 people said Wyoming. It's correct. Another good one. Very good. That means 7 of our 100 people said Wyoming. That gives David and Matt a nice low score of 7. On to our next pair. Pauline.
I'm going to play it safe and say Alaska.
Alaska. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Alaska. Well, you played it safe. But it means that 47 of our 100 people said Alaska. That makes you the highest scorers. OK, on to our final pair. Mick, what are you going to say?
I'm going to go for Arkansas.
OK, Mick, we were looking for states of the United States of America. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Arkansas. It's another good one. Look at that. That means only 3 of our 100 people said Arkansas. That gives Mick and Martin a score of 3. OK, we are halfway through the round. Let's see how we're doing on the scores. Well, there's not a lot between the people at the bottom of the scoreboard. 3, 4, 7. Mick and Martin looking particularly strong there on 3. But way out ahead on 47 are Pauline and Anne. You're going to have to find a really obscure state for the next pass and hope everybody else scores massively high. Otherwise, you might be walking away at the end of this round. OK, we're going to come back down the line. Can the second players please take their places at the podium? OK, Martin, we are looking for states of the United States of America. What are you going to say?
OK, trying to think outside the box here. I'm going to go for Illinois.
Illinois. Here's the red line. That is your safety line. If you come below that line, you are definitely through to the next round. If you are above that red line, you become the high scorers and risk being eliminated at the end of the round. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Illinois. It's good. Oh, it's good. Oh, it's very good. That means only 9 of our 100 people said Illinois. That takes Mick and Martin up to 12, and they are definitely through to the next round. Anne and Pauline. Anne, just to remind you, we're looking for states of the United States of America, and from you, we really need an obscure one.
We need a good one, so I think I'll go for Oregon.
Oregon. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Oregon. It's good. That's not bad. That means 18 of our 100 people said Oregon. That takes your score up to 65. You are way out in front on the scoreboard there, which in this game is not a good place to be. OK, David, you are on 7. The high scorers are Anne and Pauline on 65. If you want to come in under their high score and be safe, you have to score 57 or less with this answer.
OK, I'm going to have a guess at Pennsylvania.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said Pennsylvania. It's good enough. It's very good. That means 11 of our 100 people said Pennsylvania. That means David and Matt are now on a total of 18, and they are definitely through to the next round. OK, Paul. Just to remind you, you are on 4. You have to score 60 or less to avoid becoming the high scorers and risk being eliminated at the end of the round.
I'll go with Iowa.
Iowa. Here's your red line. If you are below that red line with Iowa, you are definitely through to the next round. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Iowa. You're through. It's another good one. That means 13 of our 100 people said Iowa. That takes your score up to 17, and that means you are definitely in the next round. Right. Our final pair, Terry. You are on 12. Our high scorers are Anne and Pauline. If you want to go through to the next round, you have to score 52 or less. What is your answer going to be?
Well, I've been left with quite a few, but I'm going to go for one off the East Coast, Maine.
Maine. OK, there's your red line. If you are below that red line, you are through to the next round. If you are above that red line, you are leaving the show. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Maine. Oh, it's good news for Terry and Laura. Bad news for Anne and Pauline, I'm afraid. That means that 12 of our 100 people said Maine. That brings your total up to 24, and it means you are through to the next round. So that's the end of round 1, and the losing pair with the highest score, I'm afraid, is Pauline and Anne. Bad luck.
We've had such a great day. We've had such a great day.
Oh, I'm glad you have. Now the pressure's off. Can you think of lots of nice, obscure American states?
Indiana.
Oh, you see? Well, Richard, what should they have said if they'd wanted to stay in?
Well, Indiana would have been a good one. That would have got you 6 points. That was an obscure one. There were no actual pointless answers. And, of course, pointless answers are those answers that none of our 100 people gave. But I'll show you the 3 best answers that you could have come up with. The best answer of all was Kansas, surprisingly. The next up was Maryland. And then we've already had from Mick, we had Arkansas, where Bill Clinton was governor. That only got 3 points. If we look at the worst answers you could have given, third was Florida. Second was Texas. And California was the worst answer.
Thanks very much, Richard. Pauline and Anne, that was your second and final chance on the show. You clearly just don't have that pointless American knowledge you needed to get through to the final. So I'm afraid we have to say goodbye, but thank you so much for playing. For the remaining 4 pairs, though, it's time for round 2. OK, guys, the round 2 category is pop music. Pop music. Can you decide in your pairs who's going first and who's going second? And whoever's going first, please step up to the podium. Now, remember, Pointless is all about scoring the fewest points. You need to rack your brains for those obscure, unheard-of answers that you think none of our 100 people said. With that in mind, let's find out what the question is. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many acts that have won the Eurovision Song Contest as they could. Richard, can you be any more specific?
Yeah, the delight on your faces as you think of the Eurovision Song Contest. We're looking for any of the 56 winners of the Eurovision Song Contest. Imagine listening to all of that back to back. 56 winning entries.
OK, thank you, Richard. Well, Laura and Terry, you are going first. Laura, we want acts that have won the Eurovision Song Contest. A really obscure one, please.
I'm going to go for Katrina and the Waves.
OK, let's see how many of our 100 people said Katrina and the Waves. It's a correct answer. Not bad. 28 of our 100 people said Katrina and the Waves. Not a bad score to kick us off. Katrina and the Waves. Rich?
Yep, Katrina and the Waves won in 1997 with Love Shine a Light. It's the last time the UK won.
Susan, your turn. We're looking for an act that's won the Eurovision Song Contest.
Sandy Shaw.
Sandy Shaw. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Sandy Shaw. That means 28 of our 100 people also said Sandy Shaw. Richard, Sandy Shaw.
Yeah, it's won in 1967 with the unforgettable Puppet on a String, which is UK's first ever Eurovision winner.
OK, on to our third pair. David, what are you going to give me?
I think I remember a German lady doing an acoustic song, and I think her name was Nicole, so that's what we're going to guess, Nicole.
Nicole. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Nicole. It's good. Ooh, it's very good. Well, that means only one person out of our 100 said Nicole. Oh, I don't know whether to congratulate on that or commiserate you for not getting a pointless there. Richard, Nicole.
Yeah, you know, tragically, I remember that as well. She won with Ein bisschen Frieden. It was a hit in the UK as A Little Peace.
OK, our fourth pair. Mick, we want a winning act from the Eurovision Song Contest.
OK, I'm going to go for something a little bit more recent and hope I don't come unstuck with it. Dana International.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said Dana International. Very good. Oh. That means only 6 of our 100 people said Dana International. Well, we are halfway through the round, so let's see where we are on the scoreboard. David and Matt looking very comfortable on 1 there. Fantastic. Keep up that low scoring and you'll be certainly in the next round. On 28 each, Paul and Susan and Terry and Laura. Well, you're each going to have to rack your brains for some obscure Eurovision winners. OK, we're going to come back up the line. Will the second players please take their places at the podium? OK, Martin, we are looking for winning acts in the Eurovision Song Contest. You are currently on 6. To avoid becoming the high scorers, you have to score 21 or less with this answer.
And I'm going to go for Johnny Logan.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said Johnny Logan. It's correct. Very good. That means 12 of our 100 people said Johnny Logan. That takes your total up to 18. Richard, Johnny Logan.
Yeah, he's won it twice as a performer and once as a songwriter. I think most famously in 1980 with What's Another Year, which was catchy, if terrible.
On to our next pair. Matt.
I'm going to go for the Irish Dana.
There is your red line. There's your Dana line. Below that, and you're fine. Above that, you risk elimination. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Dana. It's good. Good enough. Very good. That means 16 of our 100 people said Dana. That brings your score up to 17. You are through to the next round. OK, Paul, your turn. You are currently the joint high scorer on 28. It's not a bad score, 28. We are looking for winning acts in the Eurovision Song Contest.
I'm going to take a punt on... Oh, the name's gone. OK. I can't remember which one I was going to say, so I'll go with Cliff Richard.
You are currently high scorers on 28. You have to hope that Cliff Richard is going to score you no points at all. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Cliff Richard. Oh! Unfortunately, that is a wrong answer, which means you score the maximum of 100 points. Bad luck. Rich, Cliff Richard.
Yeah, he never won it. He came second in 1968, he came third in 1973, never won it. Imagine entering Eurovision and not winning.
Entering it twice.
And not winning.
And not winning. Ooh. Get the message, Cliff. That gives you 100 points, taking your total up to 128. On to our fourth pair. Terry, now you've just been thrown a massive lifeline by Paul and Susan there with Cliff Richard. you are currently on 28. If you are to avoid being eliminated, you have to score 99 or less with this answer. OK. What are you going to give me, Terry?
I'm going to have to say the only one I know, which is Bucks Fizz.
OK, you only have to score 99 or less. Maybe one of our 100 people wasn't born back in the 80s. I don't know. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Bucks Fizz. Good news for you, bad news for Paul and Susan. It's good enough. That means that 51 of our 100 people said Bucks Fizz. That brings your total up to 79. So at the end of round 2, the losing pair with the highest score is Paul and Susan. Susan, you're looking very unhappy. Are you cross with Cliff Richard? I mean, not with Cliff. Cliff has done... I just have to make that clear. Cliff has done nothing wrong. Paul. Oh, dear, oh, dear. Well, you'll be back. This isn't your last chance. We'll see you again. Richard, what other answers should they have gone for?
There were any number of pointless answers, as you can imagine. Let's take a look at a few of them. Bobby Socks. And I think Dimar Bilan, who won it the other year, he had the ice skater going around him.
God, that was terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't great, was it? Itzar Cohen and Alpha Beta with Abana B. That was pointless. And, of course, pointless answers are those answers that none of our 100 people gave. Let's take a look at a few more pointless songs. Jerez, who did Diggy Doo Diggy Day.
Oh, that's a good song.
Unless I'm very much mistaken. Maciel, who did La La La. I'm not making this up. And Paul Harrington and Charlie McGettigan, who did Rock and Roll Kids for Ireland. And let's take a look at the most obvious answers you can have. Now, Laura and Terry, you've almost given us a clean sweep of the worst possible answers. Fortunately, Cliff Richard has saved you. But Katrina and the Waves was the third most obvious answer. The second most obvious answer was Bucks Fizz. Paul and Susan, do you want to have a go, see what the most obvious answer was?
ABBA.
ABBA is exactly right, the most obvious answer of all.
Thanks very much, Richard. OK, Paul and Susan, you've wasted one of your chances to get through to the pointless final. We have to say goodbye to you for today, but we'll see you next time for your last chance. But thank you so much for playing. It's been great to have you. For the remaining 3 pairs, though, it's time for round 3. Now, obviously, only 2 pairs make it through to the head-to-head, so this is your final chance. All of you need to find those low-scoring answers to stay in the game. The round 3 category is... literature. Literature. OK, who's going to go first? Who's going to go second? And whoever's going first, please step up to the podium. Right, let's find out what the question's going to be. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many novels by Stephen King as they could. Novels by Stephen King. Richard, what does that mean?
Yeah, we're looking for novels written and published under the name Stephen King. We're not looking for short stories, novellas, but anything he's written with someone else counts. There are 39 novels on the list.
Ooh. Right, remember, you need to score the fewest points. You need to give the answers that the fewest of our 100 people said. OK, Terry, we are looking for novels by Stephen King.
I'm just going to stab it and say The Shining.
If it's a wrong answer, of course, you will score the maximum of 100 points. Let's see how many of our 100 people said The Shining. It's correct. And it's not bad. That means 24 of our 100 people said The Shining. That gives Terry and Laura a score of 24 to kick off our 3rd round. OK, Matt, we are looking for novels by Stephen King. The more obscure, the better.
The one I had in my mind, I think it was just a film, so I'm going to go for The Tommyknockers.
The Tommyknockers. I had a touch of those earlier. Let's see how many of our 100 people said The Tommyknockers. It's a correct answer. It's good. It's very good. Oh. That means 8 of our 100 people said The Tommyknockers. That gives Matt and David an impressively low score of 8. On to our final pair. Mick, what are you going to say?
I think I'm going to struggle on this one. I haven't read that many of his books, but I'm going to go for The Rats.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said The Rats. Unfortunately, that is a wrong answer, which means you score 100 points. Richard, Rats, they might be saying.
Yeah, the Rats, it was written by James Herbert, I'm afraid, not Stephen King.
OK, well, we are halfway through the round. Let's see what the scores are looking like. David and Matt looking pretty indomitable there on 8 points. Keep up that low scoring, and I think you will be through comfortably to the next round. Mick and Martin, the James Herbert-Stephen King mix-up has cost you dear. OK, we're going to come back down the line. Can the second players please take their places at the podium? We are looking for novels by Stephen King. You are, Martin, the highest scorers by a country mile. You have to try and score a pointless answer here if you can.
The Living Dead. The Living Dead.
The Living Dead. Let's see how many of our 100 people said The Living Dead. Unfortunately, it is a wrong answer, and you have doubled your score to an impressive 200.
Yeah.
Oh, bad luck. Richard.
Yeah, The Living Dead, well, it's a series of films, The Living Dead, Night of the Living Dead, the George Romero movies, but they weren't based on Stephen King novels, all big sort of zombie films.
Well, you have scored 200, the maximum possible. You are definitely out of the game at the end of this round, so bad luck. That was a tough category for you. But for the remaining pairs, why not see if you can find a couple of pointless answers? Add £250 to our jackpot for each one. OK, on to David. What are you going to say?
I think I'll just play safe and hope I'm right, and I'm going to say It.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said It. It's correct. It's not bad. It's good enough. That means 39 of our 100 people said It. That brings your total up to 47. And finally, Laura.
I'm going to go for Bag of Bones.
Bag of Bones. If this is a pointless answer, it will add £250 to the jackpot. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Bag of Bones. It's good. So nearly so pointless. I'm afraid one person out of our 100 people said Bag of Bones. That's not a bad score, though. That takes your score up to 25. So at the end of round 3, the losing pair with the highest score is Mick and Martin. Bad luck, guys. You're just not Stephen King fans, are you?
No. I'm not now,
No. Especially not now. Richard, what answers should they have gone for if they'd wanted to stay in?
There were 8 pointless answers. Black House, which he wrote with Peter Straub. The Colorado Kid, which is a mystery thriller rather than the horror book. Cycle of the Werewolf, which was about a werewolf.
On a bike? What?
Yeah, werewolf on a bike, yeah. Whenever you heard the bell, you had to run. The two Dark Tower books, Dark Tower 4 and Dark Tower 5. Eyes of the Dragon, that had dragons in it. Let's take a look at the most obvious answers. Some of these might be a little bit familiar already. In third, Terry's already given us The Shining. In second, it was Carrie. And the top one of all we've already had from David, it was It.
Thanks very much, Richard. OK, Mick and Martin, you've wasted one of your chances to get to the pointless final. So we have to say goodbye for today, but we'll see you next time for your last chance. Thanks so much for playing. Thank you. But for the remaining 2 pairs, things are about to get even more exciting as we enter the head-to-head. So well done, David and Matt, Terry and Laura, you've made it through to the head-to-head. Now, obviously, only one pair can make it through to today's final and play for the jackpot, which currently stands at £1,000. OK, here's how the head-to-head works. You are now allowed to confer. Each team will take turns to give me an answer, and you'll each have an equal number of turns. The first team that accumulates more than 100 points, or the team that goes over 100 by the most, will lose. So, as always, to stay in the game, you want to come up with those facts that everyone forgets and score as few points as possible. OK, David and Matt, you've performed best over the first 3 rounds, so not only do you get to decide whether or not you go first, you also get to choose the topic, and your choice is between sporting legends or European history.
OK, Alexander, we'd like to go for sporting legends.
Sporting legends. Would you like to go first or second?
First, please, Alexander.
Sporting legends and first. OK, let's play Pointless. And let's find out what the question is. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many members of the 1966 World Cup winning England team as they could. Richard, can you be any more specific than that?
Yeah, we're looking for the names of the 11 players who played in the final of the 1966 World Cup against West Germany. If you need reminding, we won that, 4-2.
OK, thanks, Richard. Now, remember, you don't want to go over 100, so you want to score the lowest number of points each time. Who are those members of the victorious England 1966 World Cup team that everyone else will have forgotten? OK, David and Matt, you are going first.
OK, the first answer we'll give is Martin Peters.
Martin Peters. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Martin Peters. It's the right answer. Not bad at all. Look at that. That means 22 of our 100 people said Martin Peters. That gives you a score of 22 after your first answer. Terry and Laura, your first answer, please. We are looking for members of the England team from the 1966 World Cup final.
I would try and be. I'm going to go for little centre midfielder, Ball, Alan Ball.
Alan Ball. How many of our 100 people said Alan Ball? Not bad. That means 18 of our 100 people said Alan Ball. So, one answer each. David and Matt on 22, Terry and Laura on 18. OK, David and Matt, you have to be careful here. Your next answer could feasibly take you over 100 points, and you would be risking your place in the Pointless final. Your next answer needs to score 78 points or less. We are looking for members of the England team from the 1966 World Cup final. What's it going to be?
OK, we'll go for Nobby Stiles.
Nobby Stiles. There is your red safety line coming in there. You have to come below that red line to avoid going over 100 points. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Nobby Stiles. It's good enough. Not bad. That means 36 of our 100 people said Nobby Stiles. That gives you a total of 58 after your second answer. OK, Terry and Laura. You are currently on 18. To avoid going over 100 and risk elimination, you want to be scoring 82 or less with your second answer. What's it going to be?
I'm going to go for Bobby Charlton.
OK, that red line you have to be below to avoid going over 100 and being off the show. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Bobby Charlton. It's OK. That means 52 of our 100 people said Bobby Charlton. That takes your total up to 70. Right, you've each given me 2 answers now. Terry and Laura looking worryingly ahead there on 70. Very vulnerable. David and Matt rather more comfortably behind on 58. Remember, a low score is a good score. Third answer time. We are looking for members of the England team from the 1966 World Cup final. David and Matt, what are you going to give me?
OK, we'll go for the goalkeeper, Gordon Banks.
Gordon Banks. To avoid going over 100 and risking elimination, you have to score 42 or less. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Gordon Banks. It's good. That means 25 of our 100 people said Gordon Banks. That takes your total after 3 answers up to 83. OK, Terry and Laura, we need a third answer from you. You are currently on 70. To avoid going over 100 and being kicked off the show, you have to score 30 points or less. We need a member of the victorious England World Cup 1966 team, an obscure one.
I don't think it's right, and I'm going to kick myself. Is it Ray Charlton?
That's your answer.
Oh, my God.
I don't have anything better, so...
I think I'm going to have to take your answer.
I think either way we're going to lose.
You're going with Ray Charlton.
Yeah.
If it's wrong, you will score 100 points. That will take your score over 100. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Ray Charlton. You have had 3 turns each, and Terry and Laura, you've gone over 100 points, so I'm afraid that means you are off the show. Don't despair too much. I mean, you've got another chance. Richard, what other members of that World Cup winning team should they have said?
Well, I was going to say, don't despair too much either about forgetting Jack Charlton's name, because he would have got you 37 points and would have taken you over 100 anyway. There weren't any pointless answers. I'll take you through the 3 most obscure ones. The best answer of all you could have given was, well, the 2. Roger Hunt, the prolific Liverpool striker, slightly overshadowed by Jeff Hurst. Ray Wilson, the Everton defender, would have got you 6 points. And George Cohen, who holds a unique family double. He's the uncle of Ben Cohen, who's won a Rugby Union World Cup medal. He would have got you 13. The biggest answers, Jack Charlton would have got you 37 there. We've already had Bobby Charlton from Terry and Laura. And biggest of all, Bobby Moore. Amazingly, Jeff Hurst is 5th on the list, behind Nobby Stiles. What do you have to do to be remembered?
Thanks very much, Richard. OK, Terry and Laura, you've wasted one of your chances to get through to the pointless final. We have to say goodbye to you for today, but we'll see you next time for your last chance. Thanks so much for playing. You've been great. But for David and Matt, it's time for our pointless final. Well, congratulations, David and Matt. It's only your first time on the show, and you've made it to the end of Pointless. You've fought off all the competition, and you've won our coveted Pointless trophy. Now you've got a chance to win our Pointless jackpot. At the end of today's show, the jackpot stands at £1,000. Well, the rules are very simple. To win the money, all you have to do is find a pointless answer that none of our 100 people could think of. Something nobody's managed to do today, so let's hope you can find one now. First, though, you've got to choose a category from these 3 options, and you can go for modern art, pop princesses, or British government. Modern art, pop princesses, or British government.
Pop princesses. Yeah. OK, we've conferred, and I'm going to stick with Matt. He feels fairly confident, so we're going to go for pop princesses.
OK, pop princesses it is. Well, let's find out what the question is. So, we gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many Britney Spears top 40 singles as they could. Good luck, Matt. Richard, fill us in.
Yeah, we're looking for any single that Britney Spears has released in the UK that's made it into the UK top 40. Britney has had 24 top 40 hits.
You look delighted with that. You now have up to 1 minute to come up with 3 answers. All you need to win that £1,000 is for just one of those answers to be pointless. All right, your 60 seconds start now.
Why did you let me go for that?
Toxic.
Yeah, but that's number 1. So was Born to Make Me Happy. So was Oops, I Did It Again. She must have covered one that was a bit rubbish.
I've got no idea. I don't know any. Toxic, that's the only one I know.
That's going to get a few points, isn't it?
Well, we'll have to say that. Can you think of any more than the ones you've just said?
Oh, there was one where she was a...
Oops, I Did It Again. What was it? Oops, I Did It Again.
Oops,
Toxic.
I Did It Again, Toxic. That'll be the later ones when people weren't buying the singles.
Which is what?
I don't know, I wasn't buying the
We've
singles.
got to think of 3.
30 seconds.
Think of 3. We're saying Toxic. We're saying Whoops, I Did It Again. Which
No,
one
you're
was-
saying that. I'm saying-
OK. So Toxic.
Hang on, didn't she cover one that was...
20 seconds.
Oh, badly covered, and she was in an aeroplane. She was in an aeroplane. It's during a sexy period.
We've got 12 seconds to think of 3. Toxic. Whoops,
10
I Did
seconds.
It Again.
Yeah.
And what's the other one you said?
Don't know, I've forgotten that one as well.
What's the third one,
We've
Matt?
had a lovely day.
That's your time up, I'm afraid. OK, you went for pop princesses. Good choice.
Thank you.
What are the 3 answers you're going to give me? We want Britney Spears' top 40 singles.
I Was Born to Make You Happy.
I Was Born to Make You Happy.
Toxic.
Toxic.
And Oops, I Did It Again.
And Oops, I Did It Again. This is to go for the £1,000 jackpot. You have to score a pointless with at least one of those. OK, let's see how many of our 100 people said Born to Make You Happy. It's a correct answer. Well, it's for £1,000. It's below 50. Down it goes. It's not bad. It's good. 4 out of 100 people said Born to Make You Happy. Unfortunately, you wanted pointless. It had to be pointless, so 4 is not good enough. OK, you only have 2 more chances to win today's jackpot. We are looking for Britney Spears' top 40 singles, and they have to be pointless. Toxic is your next answer. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Toxic. It has to be pointless if you're going to win the £1,000. Well, it's under 50. I'm afraid that means 32 of our 100 people said Toxic. It was not a pointless answer. You only have 1 final chance to win today's jackpot. We are looking for Britney Spears' top 40 singles. And this last one has to be pointless. This is your final chance. We've really got to hope that none of our 100 people said, Oops, I Did It Again. Maybe they just forgot it. OK, how many of them said, Whoops, I did it again? It's below 50s. Well, unfortunately, you didn't manage to find that all-important pointless answer, so you don't win today's jackpot of £1,000. However, you do get to take home our pointless trophy. So, Matt, when you said pop princesses, what possibly did you think was going to come up?
Not Britney Spears.
What were you hoping? Janet Jackson?
I was hoping for some 80s UK pop princesses.
You did pretty well. You found 3 Britney Spears songs anyway, which is...
I consider that quite an achievement.
Yeah. Oh, dear, Richard, put them out of their misery. What should they have said?
Actually, there were only 3 pointless answers. Don't Let Me Be the Last to Know would have been a pointless answer. The hit she had with Madonna, Me Against the Music, would have been a pointless answer. And also, as a top 10 hit in 2005, Do Something. That would have won you the money.
As I say, though, you have done fantastically well. You've come all the way through to the final. You've been great contestants. Thanks very much. So, nobody has won our jackpot today, so it rolls over again, which means next time we'll be playing for £2,000. Join us then to see if someone can win it on Pointless. Meanwhile, it's goodbye from Richard.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.